ki Antara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Nitai Go Premanande. Oh, we didn't sing. Okay.
We're waiting for you, Kirtan.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Greetings, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 12, Birth of Emperor Parikshit, text number 6. Kim te kama suraspaha Mukunda manaso dvijaha Adijaru Mudam Rajna Shuditasya Yatetare Kinte Kama Suraspaha Mukunda Manaso Dvijaha Adi Jagru Mudam Rajna Suditasya Yatetare Kinte Kama Suraspaha Mukunda Manaso Dvijaha Adijaru Mudam Rajna Shuditasya Yatetare. Please chant.
Kinte Kama Surasparha Mukunda Manaso Dvijaha Adijaru Mudam Ragya Sudhitasya Yatetare Kinte Kama Suraspara Mukunda Manaso Dvijaha Adijaru Mudam Ragya Sudhitasya Yatetare Kinte Kama Suraspara Mukunda Manaso Dvijaha Adijaru Mudam Rajna Shuditasya Yatetare
Mataji's.
Kinte Kama Suraspara Mukunda Manaso Dvijaha Adijaru Mudam Ragya Shuditasya Yatetare Kinte Kama Suraspara Mukunda Manaso Dvijaha Adijaru Mudam Ragya Shuditasya Yatetare
Kim. What for? Te. All those. Kamanaha. Objects of sense enjoyment. Sura. Of the denizens of heaven. Spaha. Aspirations. Mukunda Manasaha. Of one who is already God conscious. Vijaha. O Brahmanas. Adi Jagru. Could satisfy. Mudam. Pleasure. Rajna. Of the king. Shuditasya. Of the hungry. Yata. As it is. Hitare. In other things. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. O Brahmanas, the opulence of the king was so enchanting that the denizens of heaven aspired for it. But because he was absorbed in the service of the Lord, nothing could satisfy him except the Lord's service. Purport. There are two things in the world which can satisfy living beings. When one is materially engrossed, he is satisfied only by sense gratification. But when one is liberated from the conditions of the material modes, he is satisfied only by rendering loving service for the satisfaction of the Lord. This means that the living being is constitutionally a servitor and not one who is served. Being illusioned by the conditions of the external energy, one falsely thinks himself to be the served, but actually he is not served. He is the servant of the senses like lust, desire, anger, avarice, pride, madness, and intolerance. When one is in his proper senses by attainment of spiritual knowledge, he realizes that he is not the master of the material world, but is only a servant of the senses. At that time he begs for the service of the Lord and thus becomes happy without being illusioned by so-called material happiness. Maharaj Yudhisthira was one of the liberated souls, and therefore for him there was no pleasure in a vast kingdom, good wife, obedient brothers, happy subjects, and prosperous world. These blessings automatically follow for a pure devotee, even though the devotee does not aspire for them. The example set herein is exactly suitable. It is said that one who is hungry is never satisfied by anything other than food. The whole material world is full of hungry living beings. The hunger is not for good food, shelter, or sense gratification. The hunger is for the spiritual atmosphere. Due to ignorance only, they think that the world is dissatisfied because there is not sufficient food, shelter, defense, and objects of sense gratification. This is called delusion. When the living being is hungry for spiritual satisfaction, he is misrepresented by material hunger. But the foolish leaders cannot see that even the people who are most sumptuously materially satisfied are still hungry. And what is their hunger and poverty? This hunger is actually for spiritual food, spiritual shelter, spiritual defense, and spiritual sense gratification. These can be obtained in the association of the Supreme Spirit, Lord Shri Krishna, and therefore one who has them cannot be attracted by the so-called food, shelter, defense, and sense gratification of the material world, even if they are relished by the denizens of the heavenly planets. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita 8.16, it is said by the Lord that even in the topmost planet of the universe, namely the Brahma Loka, where the duration of life is multiplied by millions of years by earth calculation, one cannot satisfy his hunger. Such hunger can be satisfied only when the living being is situated in immortality, which is attained in the spiritual sky, far, far above the Brahma Loka. In the association of Lord Mukunda, the Lord who awards his devotees the transcendental pleasure of liberation. Om Gyan Timidannasya Jnana Shalakaya Chakshamitam Yena Tasmei Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Ramayam Dadati Swavadantikam Vanchakapatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasiri Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the living entity is always a servant. That's the Sanatana Dharma of the living entity. In the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita, is explained what is Sanatana Dharma. Dharma usually is translated as religion, some kind of faith. I'm Christian, I'm Hindu, I'm Muslim, I'm Baha'i. Some faith. But faith can change. You can change from being a Hindu to a Muslim, or a Christian to a Jew. This can change. Dharma means the essence of something. For example, the essence of water is that it's wet. The essence of chili is that it's hot and pungent. The essence of sugar is that it's sweet. You take these things out of it, it loses its dharma, it loses its essence. So, what's the essence of the spirit soul, of the living entity? It's said that the essence of the living entity is to serve. Doesn't matter what religion you are, doesn't matter what body you're in, Even if you're an atheist, you still have to serve. If you're in a family, the parents serve the children serve the parents. And maybe they have a dog, serve the dog. They have to serve. Well, what if you're like, you have no family, or you have no job? Do I still serve? Yes. Your belly is grumbling, you have to serve it. When you wake up in the morning and brush your teeth, you're serving your teeth. Service is always rendered, no matter what. This is the essence of the living entity. But the perfection of such service is to serve the Supreme Soul, Krishna. Your value in life is determined by how much you serve. For example, if someone just worries about serving their body, I just do what I want and I just serve this body, whatever the senses were, then you could say they have a low value of life. But if they serve their family really nicely, okay, it steps up a bit. Okay, let's serve the community. Alright, a bit more. Serve the nation. Sacrifice your life for the nation. Killing people, risking your life. Wow. Here you go, purple cross or something, you get some award when you come back from war. Such a value of life, you made such a sacrifice. What about for all humanity? I'll sacrifice my life. I'll serve humanity. There's much better value, obviously. How about all living entities, the animals as well? This whole planet, the whole universe. Yes, the value must be really big. And you may preach to people, you distribute books. It's like, yes, we try and serve all living beings, we try and serve the universe. But you tell them to serve God? No. That's beyond everything, and everything comes from God. And it's like, should we love and serve God? God keeps saying, no. Why are you so small-minded? Complete illusion. But that's the highest value. That is the perfection of the dharma of the living entity, to serve the Supreme Soul. Jirera Surupa Hoy Krishnara Nichidas. In this part of the Bhagavatam, it's describing the situation of Maharaj Yudhisthira. We're leading up to the great qualities of Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Yudhisthira, being the emperor, had all opulences, even the denizens of heaven desired him. But he did not care a fig about these heavenly opulences. His only concern was the service of the Lord. Nadanam najanam sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamiya mama jamani jamani ishvare bhavata bhaktiya takitoyi. Oh my Lord, I don't want any wealth, I don't want beautiful women, I don't want any number of followers, I don't want to be known as a great orator. All I want is your devotional service. Causeless devotional service, birth after birth. This is the mentality of the liberated soul, like Maharaj Yudhisthira. He understood Anyas chintiyantu mam yejana parapasate Tesham nityabi yuktanam yogisham brahmamiham. The one who constantly meditates on the transcendental form of the Lord and worships Him with exclusive faith, for that person, I preserve what they have and carry what they lack. And even at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Yachara Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatapato Dhanotara, Tatashu Vijyo Bhuti Juvinati Mati Mama. Wherever there's Krishna, the great mystic, wherever there's Arjuna, the great archer, there's certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. Bilva Mangala Thakur says that by engaging in the devotional service of the Lord, Bhukti and Mukti are standing at my door asking, can I render some service? Liberation and material opulence are there ready to serve you when doing devotional service. We can see that in our own lives here. Prabhupada would say, yes, the devotees, they live in the best houses. In the temple room. Some temples have chandeliers. You're in the brahmachari is in a penthouse in the middle of Soho. They have the best food. Prasadam is so opulent. We're cooking for Krishna, everything cooked in ghee, even milk from the manna, by cows that are treated with love and devotion. We have the best clothes even. My spiritual master, they grow as you grow. And even if, like, say a brahmachari wants to get married, or a brahmachari wants to get married, then they end up with someone with good character, a devotee. So material opulence is rolling at your feet. But the conditioned soul thinks differently. There's a quote from John Milton's book called Paradise Lost. It's good. So this quote goes, "Better be a king in hell than a servant in heaven." They're so stubborn, the conditioned soul. Under false ego, he's thinking, I am this body and everything is for my pleasure. Everyone is actually here for me, to satisfy my desires. He thinks I am served. Complete illusion. But instead, Prabhupada says in the purport, he's serving these 6 enemies of the mind. This lust, this greed, this avarice, this pride, madness and intolerance. And especially where the number 1 enemy would be lust. Kamesha, Krodesha, Rajaguna Samudbhava, Mahashana Mahapatma, Vidyana, Yavarina. That is only lust, Arjuna, in contact with the mode of passion. Jai. Shishi Radha Ministra Ki, Shadana Bale Subhadra Ki, Shishi Gauranitai Ki, Shigiri Govardhana Ki. It is lust only, Arjuna, in contact with the mode of passion, that makes us perform simple activity, to go against the nature of the soul. And it turns into wrath. This is the all-devout, simple enemy of this world. And that lust, what is it? Amendriya piti vanchitare parakam, kisendriya piti chidare premanam. That to serve one's own senses, that is lust. But to serve the senses of Krishna, that is love. But they are going after lust. Aritam jnanam etana jnanam vichavarnam kama rupena kuntiya duspalena lenacha. To try and satisfy this lust is like putting fuel in the fire. You try and satisfy our lust desires. You think you're going to it'll go down. No, it burns more. It makes you more crazy. You lose your mind. You lose your intelligence and your ability to use it. And even Krishna adds, in the 5th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Ye sanspasha chaboka, dukkha yoni ayevate, arihanta vanta kuteva. That those who are intelligent, they don't take delight in this sense pleasure, because they are the sources of misery. Just by contact with material senses. Why is that? Arihantavanta kunteya. They have a beginning and an end. Nateshunamata Buddha. One who's Buddha, it doesn't take part in such activities. Krishna in the one line is saying, dukkha yoniya evate. This contact with the material senses, dukkha means distress. Yoniya means source. Eva means certainly, te indeed. 4 times in the one line, Krishna is telling you, this is not the thing to do. But what does the media and the world leaders tell us? What do they preach us? This is the exact thing you should do. Whatever your senses was, succumb to the senses. How much advertising have you seen saying, succumb to the senses? Surrender your life to your senses. Whatever they say, you must do. Work hard and be merry. Isn't that right? People we've seen, we're in the middle of it, we see them across the road from the ashram. Before we take our after morning program nap, we see look across and they're like, and they were like, work hard. And then on the weekend they try and forget their problems. What they have to do, they have to take intoxication. Drugs, alcohol, whatever else to forget. Put that loud music, be in a dark room, strobe lights, smoke machine, just cover this world, please. Let me forget my problems. If they can't do this, then they have to commit suicide. This is pretty much their life. And they may be those who are frustrated with what the leaders and the media are portraying to us. They start some revolution. Yes, you know that. In France. Yes, and their head chopping may take place. You know? You're thinking like, oh, there's not enough food, there's not enough shelter, there's not enough sense gratification. You're taxing me, I need some surplus. You know, I need some stimulus. They have this sometimes, the government, to satisfy the citizens so they don't revolt. Okay, we give you a stimulus. Spend, enjoy your services. Or if they take over the government, maybe it'll become like a communist group, you know, regime. Or, and they too become corrupt themselves. You know, it's like a, okay, yes, everyone has equal share, but you know, us, we have a little bit more. Apparently there's a book called Animal Farm. So the animals in the farm, they kicked out the farmer and they took over the farm. Yes, we'll run it equally now. Not like this farmer who treated us like slaves. Now we'll run it properly. And they're trying to be equal. It's like, but we need someone to manage things. So then the pigs put their hand up and say, yes, we will manage. And it's like, okay, great. And they'll manage it very nicely. But to manage, I think we need to stay in the house though. And they go, okay, yeah, you're running fine. So they agree. So the pigs started living in the house, and they're living like really comfortably, and with the tables and chairs and beds and everything. Then they started to stand up on their hind legs and start wearing suits. And then they started like taking all the food from themselves more, because they're the managers. They need some more for themselves. And then certain, like a horse, like starved to death. And then everyone was like, what's going on? I thought we were all equal. The pig said, some are more equal than others. So when it comes to trying to satisfy the material hankerings, corruption will still come in. But someone still may argue, it's just for those who don't know how to work in this material world. You know, they just don't know how to make it. You know, those who are rich and famous, they got it made. They never suffered from anything. But we have so many examples of celebrities who have been rich and famous, like Marilyn Monroe. She was rich, beautiful, highly desired, so much money, so much fame. And then she killed herself. How many musicians we've seen? Drug overdose. We've seen that as well. So it's not, you know, even the Rolling Stones are singing, I can't get no satisfaction. And I try and I try. I can't get no satisfaction. Hey, 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 listen to what I say. They're chasing happiness in this world, it's like trying to find water in the desert. There's no way you can find it. They're just chasing a mirage. This is the nature of living in this material world. How many times, even in relationships, suffer from a broken heart, or being in some friendship where you expected something and they just stab you in the back, just not satisfied. This is the nature of a conditioned soul who doesn't see themselves as a servant of the Supreme Soul. They see themselves as being the servant. And hopefully they come to the point of, why am I suffering? What's the point of it all? Atata Brahma Jigyasa. What's the point of it? They question. And they come to this questioning due to the mercy of Maya kicking them, like anything, and then also the devotees preaching. So it's not necessarily that it's just by Maya kicking us and frustrating us alone. They need to meet a devotee. How many times we went on books and then some person just thinking, I'm just had enough of all this. God, send me a sign, send me. And then they were, hi, how are you? We got these books on spirituality. Talks about the purpose of life. I was just thinking about this. We need to catch people at that moment. Because Kali Yuga, everyone is disturbed. Short-lived, always fighting. So they're bound to be disturbed. And we have to catch them as soon as possible. So that they come to the point, they realize that even though they've been thinking they're disturbed, they've just been serving their senses. These senses are merciless and always demanding. My spiritual master gives a nice example. It's like you're in a room with different phones. And then one phone rings. It's the eyes. Hey, we want to see something different. Can you scroll up? Okay, yes, no worries. I'll get onto it. Ding, ding, ding. It's the ears. Hey, is this guy gonna shut up or finish, or can we hear something different? Yes, sir, no worries. And then there's like the red phone, big one. Ring, ring. It's your genitals. It's Saturday night. We needed some action. Yes, no worries. I'll be right onto it. I'm gonna dress up. I'm gonna get out there. Okay, get out there now. Like this. So then we serve these senses, and what do they say? Is that all? Bring more. Would you? And we serve these senses like anything, like a humble servant for this crazy boss or bosses. And in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 22, text 16, you can write it down. It's a nice prayer, and it talks about our situation. Madhya Lila 22, text 16. Kamadinam katina katita palita duni deshas tisham jatamaina kuryana chakta nakoshanti uschaitanata yadupate sampratanam nabuddhis tamayita sharanam abhayam niyukta sarapmadasya. O my Lord, there is no limit to the unwanted orders of lusty desires. Although I have rendered these desires so much service, they have not shown any mercy to me. I have not been ashamed to serve them, nor have I even desired to give them up. O my Lord, O head of the Yadu dynasty, recently, however, my intelligence has been awakened, and now I am giving them up. Due to transcendental intelligence, and I now refuse to obey the unwanted orders of these desires. And now I come to you, surrender myself at your fearless lotus feet. Kindly engage me in your personal service and save me. Srila Prabhupada said this verse is kind of like the working meaning of the Mahamantra. Like expanding upon this, please engage me in your service. I'm embarrassed by this service to the senses. This whole world is hungry. And it's not for this food, shelter, or sense gratification. The hunger is for a spiritual atmosphere. That is done by Lord Chaitanya's Harinam Sankirtan movement. Goloka Vrindavan, Harinam Sankirtan. This Goloka Vrindavan descends and Harinam Sankirtan takes place. Chetudapana Majanam, Bhav Mahavindimapanam, Shri Kevara Chandrika Vitaranam Vijravadya Jivanam, Anandam Buddhivadanam Pratipatam Buddhamita Swadanam, Savatma Samparam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. We cleanse the mirror consciousness. This mirror, this dust is like our misconceptions of thinking we're this material body, we belong to this material world. With all its labels, it cleans all of that and reveals our real relationship with Krishna, who we are as an eternal spirit soul. Bhava Mahadevagnyapana extinguishes the fire of repeated birth and death. By serving these bosses of the senses, what do you get? Repeated birth and death. Would you serve such a boss for such a reward? No. We extinguish that fire. We serve Krishna's senses. What do we get? A life, Satchidananda, eternal full of knowledge and bliss. You live forever, you know everything, and you're always having a good time. Shreya Kevara Chandrika. Chandrika means like the benediction moon, and it opens the white lotus of good fortune, the Kairava. So it only opens at night. So it's a dark time in Kali Yuga. But this white lotus is there. The good fortunes come, the good times are come. By the Harinam Sankirtan. Vitaram Vidyavadu Jivanam is the life of all transcendental knowledge. Ishvara Puri told this verse of Lord Chaitanya again and again, saying that it's the essence of the instructions of Srimad Bhagavatam. Would you like to hear it?
Yes.
Okay, this is Bhagavatam 11 to 40. Ivam vata swa priya nama kritya jatanurago juta chita uche hasya yato roti gayati umadava nijati loka bahya. By chanting the holy name of the Supreme Lord, one comes to the stage of love of Godhead. Then the devotee is fixed in his vow as an eternal servant of the Lord, and he gradually becomes very much attached to a particular name and form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As his heart melts with ecstatic love, he laughs very loudly and cries or shouts. Sometimes he sings and dances like a madman, for he is indifferent to public opinion. That is the life of all transcendental knowledge. Anandam Buddhivardhanam, ever increasing ocean of transcendental bliss. It gets better and better and better. Every time they ask Vishnu Prabhu, what is best Harinam? He goes, last one was best Harinam. Isn't it? Can't even remember. Not yet. Still not there. He's not satisfied. But yeah, it kind of feels like that. The last one was better. Because you're developing your relationship with Krishna. You're not building like a checklist or building an amount of something. When you're developing a relationship with someone, it's the last moment, the last service that you did that increased that relationship. Pratipadam punamrita swadam. Tasting swad. Full nectar, punamamrita. At every step, pratipadam. Saratma swapanam. It's a complete transcendental bathing of the soul. Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Supremely victorious is the Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. It can't be defeated. And the three pillars of the Sankirtan movement is chanting, dancing, and
feasting.
Oh, you know. The world needs spiritual food. Prasadam is our secret weapon. Govindas is packed every day because they want prasadam. Maybe people have been coming for 10, 20 years. They are prasadam bhaktas. They worship Krishna in the form of food here. And in Australia, Prabhupada said, you'll conquer Australia by prasadam. Because philosophy is not their strong point. So I was traveling alone in like country towns in Australia. So there's one town called Bundaberg, right? In Bundaberg, it's a real Aussie town. You go there, these guys with floppy hats, and they say, "Hey, you going?" Right? And so I would have a bag of books and I'll play my drum. I'm going down the street, and then this guy from the other side of the street, he's just yelling away at me. He goes, "Hi, Hare Krishna, hi, hi." He runs, he crosses traffic, he runs, he goes, "Oh, I haven't seen you for like 20, 30 years. Where's the halva? You got any of the halva?" I don't know how he thinks like I'm just carrying it in my pocket or something. He goes, "You got any of that? Oh man, I miss that taste so much. Oh, I bought all your cookbooks. You got a restaurant around here?" Straight away to say hi. "You got a restaurant around here?" I'm like, "No, I'm just visiting. I'm just a monk, and I'm just randomly here." But I made friends with like a lady who owns like this kind of like spiritual hippie shop. So we were gonna do a program there in the evening. So we'll cook for it. I go, "We're gonna cook there." He goes, "You gonna have that food?" I go, "Yeah." "Oh, I'm coming down." The guy lives like an hour from that particular place already. So he goes back, gets his wife, brings all the cook's books to show me that he actually has them. And then he's just like, "Oh, I miss that Thai so much." I just made khichdi and halva. That's all I made. He's, "Oh, I miss it so much." He was thinking about prasadam for like 20, 30 years. So the world needs spiritual food, prasada. The world needs spiritual shelter. People will take shelter of fallible soldiers. Dehapatra kalachadesh. Atmasinesha avisapi tesham pramata nidanam prasyanapi napasyati. Persons devoid of Atma Tattva do not inquire into the problems of life, being too attached to fallible soldiers like the body, children and wife. Although sufficiently experienced, they still do not see the inevitable destruction. But what does Krishna say? In the Bhagavad Gita 9:17, Pitaham asya jagato mata data pitamaha vidyam pavicham omkara rikshama yaju evacha. I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. Pretty much Krishna's got our backs. That's what we need, Krishna support. The world needs spiritual defense. Kuntiya pratijanahi nama bhakta pranasati. Arjuna declared boldly that my devotee never perishes. He tells Arjuna to declare because he's bhakta vatsala. Whatever the devotee declares, he'll uphold their word. Just like he did for Lord Brahma in benedictions to Hiranyakashipu, and then Nishingadev did some surgical operation and maintained the same benediction to Lord Brahma. And also, we can call out to Lord Nishingadev, of course. How many times the devotee has done that? Even before, every time we travel, before we drive, Namaste Narasimhaya. It's like nearly ritualistic, but not, We want to be protected in our service to the Lord. And Nishingadev protects. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya. Namaste Jaste Jase Avya Vibhava Vajanaka Vajasamstra Kamasaran Randaya Randya Tamagrasa Grasa Om Saha Avyam Avyam Apnya Bhutesham Om Sham. That the Supreme Lord with his thunderbolt like nails and teeth, he's shining effulgence, getting rid of all our ignorance, clearing our hearts, and making us fearless. Abhayam Abhayam. We surrender, our basis is to the Nishingadev. And the world needs spiritual sense gratification. This really interests me a lot. Spiritual sense gratification. So we do that through bhakti. Savaparipini muktam tappanatena mamalam rishikena rishikesha sevnam bhakti uchyate. That bhakti is to engage the senses in the service of the master of senses, Rishikesh. And what are the side effects? That one is freed from all material designations and his senses are fully purified. So we can see the Lord Ata Shri Krishna Namani Nama Grahanam Indriya Savna Mukha Jiva Do Swami Evaspuratida. We have blunt material sense. We can't see spirit, we can't see God. But by service with the mouth and tongue, Krishna reveals himself. The spiritual nature is revealed. And our senses are part and parcel of Krishna's senses. So Krishna is like that ultimate sense object. We engage seeing by darshan. Nitra Utsava. It's a festival for the eyes. Every morning we're having a festival for eyes. What do you do when you wake up in the morning? Well, I wake up and we have an eye festival. Eye festival? Yes. Really, every morning? Yes, every morning. When Krishna enters Dwarka, it's described that the residents there, their eyes became like cupped hands, drinking the nectar of Krishna's beauty. Krishna is Bhushana Bhushana Mangam, the ornament of ornaments. Even the Lord of Vaikuntha, Mahavishnu, is attracted to this form of Krishna. That's why he saw the Brahmana's sons. Because Krishna, that's the only way he could see and take darshan of Krishna. And he's even attracted to himself. In Dwarka, he sees his reflection on the onyx floor. Onyx is like this really expensive stone, so the whole floor is onyx. And he sees this reflection, he goes, wow, who is this beautiful person? I'm attracted to them, like, I want to embrace them, like Radharani is attracted to myself. So, this is how we engage seeing. We look at the beauty of Krishna. To engage our hearing is kirtan. And kirtan's not ordinary. Even we sing the same tune every morning. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And even like we like to learn like the far out tunes by Angel Prabhu, you know, we hear those kirtans. But what's the crescendo? It's Prabhupada tune. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. It was like, wow! Like it was new. But no, that was the first tune you learned when you first came. Hare Krishna. And that tune's good for Harinam, like if you want people to like chant the whole mantra. You know, you do Prabhupada tune, they got it down. You know, you do any other tune, maybe they may get it. But that's the one. That's the tune. Prabhupada was expert. What tune should I have for that? You know, you can't stop with this tune. Just you want to do one more mantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. One time we did Padayatra in Vrindavan with Parshuram. So we do like ox cart and we go to different villages, and then there's like 40 tons of bananas. We go through the village, we kirtan, and then the whole village comes out and they go crazy because we're throwing bananas, Mahaprasad, everywhere. And they will fight each other, and old men, and fighting the kids, and they all try and jump onto the cart. They're Baba Kela! Kela means banana. Kela Baba Kela! Like this. And then like, they're all like on the rooftop, and then like the ladies, they're crying out, you know, yeah, throw it here, they throw it, they catch it in their saris, like this. And sometimes like, there's like a lady, she's carrying like cow dung in a bowl, and she's like carrying it, and then she says she throws the cow dung, but then the kids know we're gonna throw it to her in the house, so they all try and jump in front of her, you know, so we're throwing bananas at her, and then she with the bowl, she hits them all on the head, all the kids, takes a banana, get out of here. And then like the boys, you know, they're really rough, but the girls, they're more intense, you know, they're running and they're pushing the boys out of the way. And then like the old men, they come in, they try and get it, and like they have like open sewers, you know, kind of open like this. So he's like walking backwards trying to catch a banana, he falls into the sewer, and then everyone laughs at him, they don't try out and anything. So it's just wild like this. So we ended up in Kamyavan in a beautiful place called Vimalakund. Vimalakund. So you have kunds, they have like these transcendental kind of bathing swimming pools. And this one is huge. And Vimala Kund, it's named after the king named Vimala. Because it said he had 10,000 daughters. And then he married these daughters to Krishna. And out of ecstatic love for Krishna, they cried tears. And then that's the kund. And it's huge, it's really enormous. And there's all temples surrounding it. So we parked at one temple, and then there's maybe 8 or 9 old men there, you know, and they're doing kirtan. And we got there quite late, maybe 8, it's quite dark, and we're there. And they start doing kirtan, we're like, okay. But the way they do kirtan, they do Prabhupada tune, but very different. They sing like this. Hare Krish, Hare Krish, Krish Krish, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And they don't like start slow and then build up. Straight away, double time. Hare Krish! And they're old, like, you can say they're like 60 or so. And we dance with them, it's like, okay, we're tired, we're gonna go to bed. And every temple has like a loudspeaker on top, so you can hear it. And like, you know, you're sleeping with this. We're tired, we walked already 20 Ks, you know, so we're finished, you know. And we set up on the roof, and we're like, okay, sleep. And you hear, Hare Krish, Hare Krish. And you think it's gonna finish, it always sounds like the last mantra, but no. And they kept going all night. We wake up like 6, 7, 8 hours later. Hare Krish, Hare Krish. Like, no, really. And they're still going. We take bath in the kund and everything. And like, you know, you can change up around. They're still going. They went, like we got there maybe 8 and they were chanting. They went till 6 a.m. I think. Or even longer. Maybe even longer, 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. Then they just do parikram. Then someone's been cooking, and then they serve whoever's around prasadam. Then they go to bed, like 9, 10 or something. then they go home. So this is the nature of kirtan, you know, it's like very powerful. Hare Krishna! So we can engage the ears in kirtan. And also Krishna Katha. Chittasyo pasamoyambe kavabisa chakshusha tasitasu gamo yugo damascha mamurava. Learned authorities who see through the eye of scripture have demonstrated that this is the easiest method of subduing the agitated mind and attaining liberation. That is a sacred duty that brings joy to the heart. And then the sages of Namashirana say, Vayam tu na viptitaya pyayama uttamasoka vikrame yachchu vatam rasagyanam swaru saru pade pade. We never tire of hearing the transcendental pastimes of the personality God who is glorified by hymns and prayers. Those who have developed a taste for transcendental relationships with Him relish hearing of His pastimes at every moment. The chanting is like a fire, and the fuel is hearing. You get attracted to the person Krishna that you're talking about, that you're hearing about or talking about. This discussion of Krishna Katha needs to be more apparent, I feel. What did you read, bro? It shouldn't be just, isolated to the Bhagavatam class. It should somehow just reveal something that we found, and it turns into an amazing thing if we make an endeavor. So this is the way we engage the ears. And we can engage the smell, the incense and the flowers offered to the Lord. But also Krishna has a nice fragrance. It's described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is Anchalila chapter 19. You can listen, it's very powerful descriptions. The scent, this is, if you want to, okay. So it starts from, this is Anchalila chapter 19, text 91. The scent of Krishna's transcendental body surpasses the aroma of musk and attracts the minds of all women. The 8 lotus-like parts of his body distribute the fragrance of lotuses mixed with that of camphor. His body is anointed with aromatic substances like musk, camphor, sandalwood, and aguro. Oh my dear friend, that personality Godhead, also known as the enchanter of Cupid, always increases the desire of my nostrils. The scent of Krishna's body surpasses the fragrances of musk and the bluish lotus flower. Spreading throughout the 14 worlds, it attracts everyone and makes the eyes of all women blind. My dear friend, the scent of Krishna's body enchants the entire world. It especially enters the nostrils of women and remains seated there. Thus it captures them and forcefully brings them to Krishna. Krishna's eyes, navel and face, hands and feet are like 8 lotus flowers on his body. From those 8 lotuses emanates a fragrance like a mixture of camphor and lotus. That is the scent associated with his body. When sandalwood pulp is mixed with aguro, kumkum, musk, and camphor, and spread on Krishna's body, it combines with Krishna's own original bodily perfume and seems to cover it. The scent of Krishna's transcendental body is so attractive that it enchants the bodies and minds of all women. It bewilders their nostrils, loosens their belts and hair, and makes them mad women. All the women of the world come under its influence, and therefore the scent of Krishna's body is like a plunderer. Falling completely under its influence, the nostrils yearn for it continuously, although sometimes they attain it and sometimes not. When they do not drink, they feel, though they still want more and more, but if they don't, at a thirst, they die. The dramatic actor Madhu Mohan has opened a shop of scents that attract the women of the world to be his customers. He delivers the scents freely, but they make the women all so blind that they cannot find the path returning home. So I'd like to smell that one day. We can gauge our sense of touch through service, especially in the temple. It engages the mind really vigorously, cleaning, cooking, whatever that's engaging us in this temple service. And Ambarish engaged his sense of touch in touching the devotees, most likely their feet. Bhakta pada duli bhakta pada ja. Bhakta Pura Abhishektina Mahabha. That these three substances, the dust of the feet of the devotees, that water does wash the feet of the devotees, and the remnants of the devotees are three very powerful substances. And of course we engage our taste by prasadam. Prabhupada would say, eat up to the neck until you water like a duck. The remnants of Krishna's food are mixed with his saliva, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would say. This is from Anchalila, chapter 16, text 96. The Lord said again and again, only by great fortune one may come by a particle of the remnants of the food offered to the Lord. The servants of the Jagannath temple inquired, what is the meaning of this? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, these are remnants of food that Krishna has eaten and thus turned to nectar with his lips. It surpasses heavenly nectar. Even such demigods as Lord Brahma cannot find it difficult to obtain. Remnants left by Krishna are called phela. Anyone who obtains even a small portion must be considered very fortunate. One who is only ordinary fortunate cannot obtain such mercy. Only persons who have the full mercy of Krishna can receive such remnants. The word Shruti refers to pious activities performed by the mercy of Krishna. One who is fortunate enough to attain such mercy receives the remnants of the Lord's food and thus becomes glorious. So prasadam is not even available for Lord Brahma. We get it all the time. Not even a crumb. In the Chaitanya Mangala there's this whole pastime with Lord Shiva and Parvati. And Narada Muni said, yes, I just got Mahaprasad from Narayan. Oh really? You didn't bring anything for me? I was like, oh sir, but maybe there's something in my fingernail. You can have it. And he goes, oh wow, yeah, like this. And then Parvati, Lord Shiva's wife, heard about it. She goes, you didn't get any for me? That's it. From now on, everyone should get Mahaprasad. And that's pretty much what Jagannath Puri is all about. The Dharma, each holy Dham has like a particular thing you should do. So in Mayapur, it's obviously Kirtan, right? In Vrindavan, is to bathe in the dust of Vrindavan. And in Jagannath Puri, is to take as much Mahaprasad as possible. So when you go, do it. Jagannath Mahaprasad, must take. Yes, please. And we're getting it here. Jagannath is so sweet. He's given us so much Mahaprasad here in Soho as well. It's the mercy of Srila Prabhupada's Sankirtan movement to engage us in all our senses in the service of Krishna and experience this real amazing spiritual sense gratification, activating our spiritual senses. This is what's taking place. It's not part of this world. By performing devotion, all of this, it's universally glorious. Our dancing, chanting and feasting. The demigods are lining up. What's going on down there? I want to take part in this. Lord Chaitanya's pastimes are still going on now. We are part of it. It's universally known. So by performing devotional service here and now, we're living in the spiritual world. Devotional service is not different from back to Godhead, here and now. This is Lord Chaitanya's movement. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai! Yantra Shri Bhagavatam ki Jai! So, if there's any comments or questions, please kind of overload it. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Maybe this is an obvious answer to this question, but I'm not sure. Sometimes it can be easy to control the senses when we're in the association of devotees. When we're in the temple, we have prasadam, we have everywhere we look, there's photos of Krishna, there's devotees singing kirtan. But how about when we're not in the association of devotees? Of course, it can be a little more difficult. What do we do in that scenario? To control our senses, to stay controlled, to be in consciousness of Krishna.
So the example is given in I think it's also in the nectar, the introduction of Bhagavad Gita, the advice of Rupa Goswami. That one, he gives a story of a husband and wife, and the wife has a lover outside the relationship. So she's always thinking about when I'm going to meet my lover, when I'm going to meet him. And in that consciousness, she actually does her housework in the home more meticulously so the husband doesn't suspect anything. So externally it looks like she's really into like pleasing the husband, being there. But all she's thinking about when I'm going to meet my love. So devotees like that. Externally amongst the materialists, we look enthusiastic, you know, we pretend. But we're just yearning when we're going to meet with Krishna again and these devotees. So internally you kind of just like, mind is over there in the temple, mind is with the devotees, the mind is with the deities. But like externally say you have to meet with family, or you have to go to work, or you have to go and study, you know. Externally, like, you know, they're like fired up. You're motivated about, you're going to go for that promotion? Yeah, I'm going to go for it. You don't care, you just want to get paid so you can serve Krishna. You're studying, it's like, yes, you're going for that honors, you're going for that PhD. Yeah, I can't wait. I'm going to write this thesis, I'm going to be a famous PhD guy. You know, you pretend. We're pretending like anything. But we don't care, we just care about serving Krishna. We're not going to come back to the Sunday feast, we're not going to go to, like people in studio 108, they feel like this. You know, oh, it's such a nice experience, I'm doing these things, I just yearning to come back to studio 108. You know, they feel the same way. So this is kind of the installation of that enthusiasm. You know, you can maintain the fire while you're with materialists. But obviously don't be with them too long, because they can weigh you down.
Thank you so much for your class. I just want to go back to what you were saying when like Parvati gets very upset because she doesn't get Mahaprasadam. But then I think it's connected to the past time when like, I'm not so sure, I'm just asking, Lord Shiva tells her where like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to manifest in the 9 islands of Navadvip. So then she goes there and then she like meditates and does austerities for a long time. And then she gets the mercy to see, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gets like, please, and then she comes and reveals to her, and then she gets the name of Simantini. Is that the same? Is that like a connection? Or is the other one that she gets sent to Puri? I'm not so sure.
I just brought this up. I didn't fully research the story. In Chaitanya, it's in Chaitanya Mangal by Lord Chandas Thakur. Maybe that's related.
I went there and they told me the story like
in
that.
Rajpur, yes.
Yeah, in Navadvip,
Behind the Kunj,
Have you seen it as well? Yeah, there's something.
Beautiful temple.
Yeah, beautiful temple.
Jagannath.
Yeah.
In Mayapur, you have to go. And take Mahaprasad. Again, throw it back.
Is there a difference between Mahaprasadam that comes from Jagannath here in London and Mahaprasadam that comes from Jagannath in Jagannath Puri?
I don't know, go and find out in the time. No, it's the same Jagannath. I guess there's mercy of the Dham as well, connected. There's also our consciousness when taking the Mahaprasad. That's also part of the activity. Just like when you're chanting, it's like, holy name is there, but how attentive are you? You know, Prabhupada, every time you see videos of him, he'll read alone and facing the wall. Because for him, honoring Prasad was deity worship, part of deity worship. He even did it at like regulated times. You know, the plane is about to take off, you know, and then he tells us, okay, time for prasadam. You know, you can't put the tray down, you can't eat now. No, it's time. You know, this is our deity worship. It's part of deity worship. So worship the deity, honoring Mahaprasad. I think Ananta was, and then Dira.
When you were mentioning about the mantra, Prabhupada's melody, it reminded me of something. I was in Brighton, and a group of ladies, and one of them was complaining. They said, "Oh, you don't chant the Hare Krishna mantra the way you used to." I was like, "What's she on about?" She wasn't about me. She was on about the in London. He said, and she started singing the melody, and it's Prabhupada's melody. He says, and she was saying exactly what you were saying. He said, I can always sing that really easily, but the other melodies I get lost. And so she was wanting the more Prabhupada melody to be sung, and I thought there was a really far out thing to happen by myself. So just thought I'd mention it too.
Thank you.
I promised that I'd do more Prabhupada melody chanting, but there's just one in there.
You can join the guys in Vimalakund.
Thank you for an amazing class. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Sorry. Here, Dr. Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So you mentioned that you'd like to see more of Bhagavatam being spoken about, Bhagavad Gita in, Krishna Gita in the temple and things like that. How do we better read so that we can actually talk about Krishna more?
Yeah, just do it, I guess. Just do it. Just start by trying, because reading is like, we don't promise it as like, we promise 16 rounds, but we don't promise reading. So yeah, you just do it. Prabhupada in classes we recommend 1 or 2 hours a day. And yeah, like I said, it's the fire of our chanting. Because Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Punusado Nijo Mukto Vinatan Nami Namano, it's not different from Krishna. So we need to know whose name we're chanting and fall in love with him. So then the Bhagavatam does that for us. Convinces us more further that this is like the best thing to do, and it's creates a revolution in the consciousness of an impious soul, in a misdirected civilization that's us. So we kind of we need the Bhagavatam. It's not like a choice anymore. It's mandatory. Nityam Bhagavata Sevya. You should always engage in the service of the Bhagavatams by hearing, by reading and hearing, and then also serving the spiritual master, the book Bhagavatam. So these are the ways we engage. And this purport is full of nectar. And I heard other classes on the same verse just to get ready, and devotees went through from so many angles of vision. Because Krishna reveals himself differently to each devotee. We all have a unique relationship with Krishna. So what one devotee gets from Krishna by reading the same purport, you may not get. So when they share it, I guess that's in the spirit of Sankirtan. To share our relationship with Krishna with others, our nectar that we're tasting. But yeah, just do it. And if you're having trouble, you start off slow, just promise yourself 5 minutes before bed or something, and then slowly work your way up. Prabhupada, he sacrificed his life pretty much for these books. Sleep, everything. He for us to continue on with this movement was purely because of Prabhupada wanted us to read these books. So that sense as well. But yeah, just start, I think. And then when you find something interesting, you can write it down and then tell someone about it later. Yes, Ananta Nitai Prabhu. Throw it in. I'm waiting for Vishnujan to say something.
For me,
he put his hand up.
For me, I found that the more you chant,
the more you chant, the more you get a taste for reading the Bhagavatam and Prabhupada's books. That's what I found. And Prabhupada says, if you can't read, then chant. If you can't chant, then read. And it's just those two things.
If you can't chant and read, take prasadam.
Yeah. but seriously, that's what I did. Like,
self-realization. Wow, so much knowledge. Right?
That's
Sorry.
it. 'Cause all I can say was when I was in Ireland and Sharupa was put me in cabin. I was he left me in cabin for about 6 or 7 hours, and it was like a one-horse town, and so I just had to chant, and that was it. You had no choice, and it was like 5 or 6 hours every day for 2 or 3 weeks, and then the COVID hit, and then I found myself in bed.
And I chanted double. No,
I found myself in bed, and we just naturally just read and read because there's nothing else you could do. But the point is the concentration was there, and I thought, where did that come from? I mean, obviously it was from the chanting, and there was no mental platform because you had no choice. I'm just saying, and that's what I found, and it just naturally, it was just natural to read and have that attention, and it all came from the chanting. You're doing it every day, and you just keep. That's all I can say, just try it. See what happens. As if you want a taste for reading Prabhupada's books, I believe that's what it can come from that. Obviously, it can come from other sources, mercy, and obviously regular attendance on Bhagavatam and attentive listening. But definitely chanting really helps for me, anyway. Hare Krishna.
Welcome to the Hare Krishna movement. Anything else? Okay, thank you. Gatra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaura Premanande.
His Grace Madhavananda Prabhu ki.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
So nice.
Yes.